So, good morning. This is Dr. Scott from Sixth Sense Acupuncture and the Healthy Habits Club, and you're watching the Get Busy Livin podcast. And we've got a wonderful guest this morning, and that's Jeanette McPetrie. And what's the name of your business, Jeanette?
Focus Open Mind.
Focus Open Mind. So we appreciate your time and coming on and giving us some gold nuggets today. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say. So thanks very much.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
So I'll start off with my usual question. So tell us, what gets you out of bed every morning, Jeanette?
What gets me out of bed every morning? Well, let's start with three mornings a week. I work out with my coach, Casey, and he's up your way. Actually, he's in Brisbane. I Zoom with him. So he operates my workout and pushes me, and so I'm getting out of bed for that 3 days a week. And I actually started another one. I jumped the fence in with my neighbour this morning, and she was helping me with a CrossFit, and my cardio needs improving, Scott. Yeah, so I'm lucky I made it today. So no, what really gets me out of bed, Scott, is the enjoyment of putting my passion into what I love, and that's helping people with brain health. It's not work. It's not work to me.
That's awesome.
It's just not work. I go to bed early. I get up early. I'm up, 4 o'clock, feed the cats, and have a coffee and get into it for the day. But my body clock's changed. You might be able to help me. My body clock's changed this week, and getting up at 2 and I want to get into it. So something's on my mind, and that's been learning about speaking, because I want to get my business out there globally. So I want to learn how to speak properly. So I've actually I've got Kaylee Chu, CHU. I'm not sure Chu. How do you pronounce it best? So I'm wanting to learn how to speak globally on the stage in time. I just want to get my message out there. I really do. And the message that I've chosen for my first speech is it's called Moving Forward with Schizophrenia and Early Signs of Alzheimer's. And my message in that is how to take your own power back, which means a lot to me, because too many people give their power away, and they don't get on with getting themselves better.
So that leads into the next question. So how did you get into what you're doing now? It's all about brain optimization, yeah?
Yeah, well, years ago, how I got into coaching, it was quite by accident. Years ago, as I said, it's moving forward from schizophrenia. When I was really young, in my 20s, they said, get used to the idea, Jeanette, you'll never work again. And I wasn't going to have that. I wasn't going to have a bar of it. So it knocked me around for quite a few years. But as I said, I never gave up, took my power back, found a way, to fight it. And I actually sort of went back to teaching. I'm a trained physical education and health teacher. My dream was to buy a rundown agricultural property and do it up. And so that's the path I took. Purchased about 1,000 acres and ran cattle, which was my love. It was beef cattle, Herefords, and did that up. And I sold it. It was the best in the region by the time I did it. I did all the biodiversity back up and sold it. And so then I hit the road for a couple of years, following harvest, wheat harvest, driving headers and cotton pickers. And I found Beechworth. I was on my way to Perth and never made it. I found Beechworth, and that's where I stayed. And that's where I went down to Melbourne one day, and I was walking, and I was just, walking in the rain. I remember the day, I had my trench coat on, and I was walking on this window of all this writing, just took my eye, and I went, wow, what's all this about? And then this guy comes up behind me. He says, well, do you want to come in? And I said, oh, well, and I said, oh, well, why not? I'll find out more about this place. It's intriguing. A little did I know it was the manifesto of the Coaching Institute.
Oh, really?
So, I chatted to this girl, Fiona. I still remember it. And I went, wow, this is something I wouldn't mind doing. And so I joined the Coaching Institute a few days later, and it changed my life. It literally changed my life. I looked at all the limiting beliefs I had. I had a lot of growth. I had a lot of trauma to sort through. And when I started, I made a pact with myself. I'm not going to coach anyone till I get my own shit together. Because it's amazing the growth that I was able to do and change my life and also my health. And then I started my business, and then getting into it, and then a few years hit, and I was really struggling. I got to the stage where I could hardly operate my computer. I was writing notes on how to get here, how to get there. Like, my memory was shot. So I hunted down the best doctor around in Australia, and I wasn't going to settle for the path down of losing my mind. I wanted to make a business of coaching. And so it was down the gut health journey, and I changed that around. So now those two things are not an issue for me. Schizophrenia is not an issue. Like the onset of Alzheimer's is not an issue. It's full on now for my business of coaching and to help others with brain health. And that's where, my heart is I don't want people suffering the life that I went through in my younger life. And I don't want people falling victim to Alzheimer's. The stats for Alzheimer's, it's unbelievable. Like, worldwide, 50 million people suffer some form of dementia, and 60 to 70% of that is Alzheimer's.
Wow.
And they say by 2050 that number will triple.
Yeah, I heard that Alzheimer's is now the number 2 cause of death in Australia.
Yeah,
it's actually number 1 in Yemen.
It's really on the upper, and it goes back to lifestyle. We can stop it. We can prevent it.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, and with all your nutrition programs and your stuff, you'd be well into it as well, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. What was I say? So let's just backtrack a bit. So, why were you told that you'd never ever get a job again?
I was a mess in my 20s. I spent many years in hospital. Like, my life was just I just couldn't function, Scott. I was hearing things, I was seeing things that weren't there. My function was disorientated. When I came out of the first psychosis, it was 3 months in a semi sort of conscious state. I lost all my memory. I had to learn how to do everything again. I was fantastic at sports. I lived for my sports. And I had to learn how to do and play them again. I had to learn all the rules. I had to learn how to play. For squash, I was A-grade squash player, A-grade hockey player. I played cricket with the men. I played in the men's cricket teams because there were no women's cricket teams back in those days. So it was having to learn everything again, and they just didn't have the expectation that it was possible.
So, did you acquire a brain injury, or what happened there?
I never was the same, Scott. My memory was never the same, and I'm not sure, to this day, whether my past experience brought on the early stages of Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Because I've always been pretty clean with my eating and lifestyle, so it's just a mystery.
Yeah, right.
But concentrating on gut health turned it around.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you'd understand about the flora in the stomach and how important that is, and that
The
alveoli.
microbiome.
Yeah, I call it the weeds. It's the follicles that sit on the lining of the stomach. They're very important.
The villi.
That's
Like lots of little villas.
Yeah.
And they're very important, and a lot of people don't realize, people that rely on antibiotics a lot, that actually destroys the villia is antibiotics.
Yeah,
and I think they actually help with the absorption of nutrients too, don't they?
correct. Yeah, they haven't. Well, they mess with the hydrochloride levels in your stomach.
Yeah.
So they can make it acidic eventually if you have, if you're constantly taking them. So that's why, people who take antibiotics for months on end usually get gut issues. Not normally, I see it a lot. It's pretty much all of them.
I've spoken to someone that hardly had any villi left. Their stomach was a mess.
Yeah. And it can really mess with your stomach if you're taking, any sort of medication. It doesn't matter what it is. Eventually, it's going to wreck your stomach because of why the fillers that they put in there with the medication. So it's not just the drug itself. It's normally the fillers that they put with it. That's what damages the stomach. So so why did you stop? What town did you stop at?
Beechworth.
Beechworth. So where's Beechworth? Just for the audience.
Albury Wodonga. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Albury Wodonga, just south of there in the state of Victoria.
Victoria.
Yeah.
And so you're on your way to Perth, and you stopped at Beechworth and started a coaching.
Yeah, look, I went up north originally for harvest, and and then I started coming south, and then I came south, and then I went back again to look after sheep. A property rang me up. I I think it was. And I got this phone call, said, Jeanette, could you come and look after your sheep? Because they bought all my sheep, white Dorpus, when I sold my property. So they wanted me to come and look after their property. It was over Easter. So I went, I said, yeah. So I went back up to New South Wales, up north. And then I backtracked back south again. So, and the further south that I got, the further I loved it. And I couldn't believe how close the towns are down here. You might just travel sort of 7 or 8 k's and you're in another little village.
The Tableland's like that too. Tableland is like that. You travel 5-10 k's and you're in another town.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
And so what happened then? Did you so you did the course, is that right? How long did that take you?
Yeah, well, I started in 2015, and I pushed through and completed the practitioner course in end of 2015. And then there was 3. There's practitioner, advanced, 4, masters and pro. Anyway, I stayed there for years, and I'm a life member now, actually. So it's all about learning and keeping up to date. And since then, I've actually joined Richmond Din's community, Point One. So he coaches and so I'm loving that community as well. So that's a great one, and learning all about challenges and different ways to, get your program, get my program out there. Yeah, and onboarding people through challenges. I've actually got my book here, like I call it, brain masters, brain fog,
Brain fog
and
buster.
brain fog
Brain
buster.
fog challenge.
So that's and what I've learned through Richmond is what I do is offer 5 free sessions for people to get a taste and see if they like it. So I'm changing my strategy.
That's a pretty good offer.
Oh, it's a very good offer, and I'm changing my strategy next year because I really have spoilt my clients this year with so much, just so much value. Like I showed another guy that does coaches as well, and he's used to other people's programs, looking at them, and he said, Jeanette, that's a $20,000 program. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And here I am giving it away for 5,000. Yeah, like that, because that's the upsell is my the Brain Masters journey from the Buster Challenge. But I was signing people up. They'd get halfway through session 1, say, send me the invoice. Yeah, because I loved it that much. They could see the value in it. So I've actually I've closed my books at the moment, but I'm going to reopen them again next year with a different strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So you did the course. So you changed your life, obviously, as well. You changed your mindset, and
I've changed. Like, I've learned so much, Scott. It's unbelievable, the growth of going down the personal development journey. And
I commend that you took your, because you said it before that people are too reliant. They're conditioned, I believe. They're conditioned to be reliant upon others and the government, especially with these issues and dementia. I mean, and we just spoke about how it's increased tenfold, especially over the last 3-4 years. I mean that there's cardiovascular disease has been the number one killer for like 30-40 years, easy, probably even longer. And now it's been overtaken by dementia. Like, I mean, you got to start to think to yourself, why is that trend changed so much?
People have got to be more responsible for their lives. They just do, Scott. Like when I first went to the doctor and I came out of the doctor's surgery from looking at my brain health of what was in front of me, of the journey, and I fell below the line for a little short spell of being victim. Just for like a short spell, I came out and went, the cost. It frightened me with regards to the cost of alternative medicine and the dental journey that I had down the line, because my mouth was full of amalgams. And so the mercury poisoning was incredible with regards to the mercury that was in my body. And I had to get rid of the amalgams, and the cost of that dental journey was just so out there. And I remember this day, I came out and I caught a train that day. I usually drive, but I caught the train from regional Victoria and to Melbourne. And I went back to the train station. I was sitting and I was below the line, and I just chatted to this complete stranger. and I said, I just started up a conversation. I was below the line, and her name was Jeanette. I think I met my future self that day. I really do. She seemed to know everything that I knew, studying and everything. She was an older lady, and I was whinging about the costs and stuff like that. If I get myself, just have to spend everything I have. And she stuck her face in my face. She leant forward and stuck her face in my face with a really rough voice. She said, "Do you want your money or your marbles?" It just stopped me in my tracks, Scott. I went, Jesus. That was it was just such a awakening of it was the best thing someone could have said to me, because it just stopped me in my tracks. And I said, well, I thought, well, I want my flipping marbles. What the heck with the money? And I never looked back from that time on. From that day, I woke up the next morning and went, right, okay, so I've got a bit of savings. I've just got to spend it. If I want my life, I've got to spend it. I've got to spend the money, and then I can have another life and start again. And so it changed my perspective of money. If I could get one message across to people today in your audience is, what the heck with the money? Spend your money, get your health right, and then you have a life to live. And there's a quote from Dalai Lama. It sits around on my desk here somewhere. I've got a thing of here cards, and I always have it because I refer to it. And if you don't mind if I read this,
that's fine.
Dalai Lama was once asked, what surprised him most about humanity? Have you heard this one?
No.
And anyway, Dalai Lama answered, man, because he sacrifices his health to make money, then he sacrifices his money to recuperate his health. He lives as though he's never going to die and dies never having really lived.
Yep. That's very true.
How many people out there, and this is one of what part of my message, and I've got that quote in my speech that I'm going to put out there. How many people out there and in your audience, I question you, are you looking after your health now and only concentrating on making money to turn around when you retire and you're going to spend your life in the doctor's surgeries?
Yep.
Trying to recuperate your health. Exactly what Dalai Lama said.
Yep.
Is that the life you want?
I'm seeing that a lot. Seeing a lot. People, I call it the ice crevasse. They go through the ice crevasse. So they're going along doing their daily things and living their life, and then all of a sudden they have a heart attack or a stroke, and then they can't do things. And then they're going to spend their whole savings on what?
Health.
I call it the doctor's fraternity. That's what they end up doing. They ended up you're either medicated or you're surgery.
Yep, you're a slave to the medical system. They want you sick.
Yes. There's no what do you call it? There's no money in a healthy patient.
No, definitely not.
There's no money in that.
I was listening to, I think it was Dr. Wolf. I was listening to him the other day, and he said, if you're sick, you've got sick beliefs.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
So
I agree. So tell us about patients that you've helped in the past.
I just love them. I sort of can't just tell much about people's issues, but I've had great results. I've had great results.
You don't have to say their name. Don't say their name. Say, I helped this lady or I helped this gentleman.
Yeah, well, okay. I've got one that she's finishing up I'm just finishing up with her now. She's done, because my program's 6 months, and I won't make it shorter, because I want to see people get the results, and to create change. If I might sort of say something, a lot of people go on the journey of changing their routines, changing their life, health, stuff like that, only to succumb to dropping off the perch so far down the line that they don't make it permanent.
Yeah.
So to make permanent change, you've got to create the identity shift with it. So you've got to believe in who you need to be. And that's where I come in to create that identity shift. People can say, oh, yeah, well, I've just got to do this and do that, change this, change that. Fine, go ahead if you want to do it. But if you don't change that identity shift, your change is not permanent. Where was I going with? Like one client, as I said, she's just finishing now, and when she came to me, she was having panic attacks, several a day, 4 or 5 a day. Halfway through the program, I got her down to 1 a week. We're ended the program now. She doesn't suffer any. It's all through mindset and creating identity shift, creating change in her beliefs, giving her the tools of giving her the tools of life. Like my program's holistic. It just covers everything. Covers everything.
So that was so that would affect her life. Yeah, she wouldn't be able to do things, go out.
Yeah. Well, when she came to me and she spent all her savings, 5,000, she was unemployed. So a couple of months in, she was, got a job.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big change.
Huge change.
Huge. Yeah. So that this is what I mean. It affects their lives personally, and then they can't. Yeah, they're not functional. They're not able to function in society. And just those little things that you've helped with. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us about another one. Who else have you helped?
Oh, let's go for the men. It's just mindset. Yeah, because people might not have as bigger issues, but just changing their mindset to be able to function better, communicate better. Even down to communicating, accepting themselves and loving themselves, and that effect of working on themselves helps their relationships.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So just being able to change people's health so that they don't have the financial issues, that they're more grounded, they can function better, be more productive with work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty happy with how it goes.
So what was the background that you were saying with that gentleman?
He's a maintenance man.
Okay, and what was his main complaint? What was his?
Nothing in particular.
All right.
Yep. Nothing in particular. That's why I picked him. So it can just be brain fog, not making great decisions.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that was his symptoms. So you wouldn't be able to make decisions like the rest of us.
Just want to improve decision making.
It'll affect his motivation as well.
Yep.
So he wouldn't.
And part of my program is they have to get fit as well. I do 3 fitness tests throughout the 6 months.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So as I said, it's a holistic journey.
Okay, so that's tailored to whatever age group they're in?
Yep, it's tailored. Everything is personally tailored. the whole program's personally tailored.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
there's
right.
the main learnings, but everything's tailored to each individual.
Yeah, gotcha. So tell us about that. What is it? How do you change their mindset? Is there a certain method that you use?
It's just a slow. I'm a slow burn,
Yeah,
and I don't expect people to pick things up. I expect people to be I cater for slow burners because I'm a slow burner.
yeah,
So I think speed is not an issue. It's just little quarter-inch turns along the journey. Quarter-inch turns.
Well, yeah, because you're changing their mindset, so it can be like you said, a slow burn.
Yep.
Because we're so conditioned now to get the job, pay your taxes, and yeah, just keep working until you have got everything paid off.
Yeah. Yeah. You sort of work through, initially work through, find out, just, dig deep to find out the limiting beliefs of people. Everyone's got trauma in their life. And until you unravel that trauma, you can't sort of move on. Yeah. So it's working through trauma as well and being able to open the mind to be moving on. And right through my program, like it's all focused on themselves to begin with. But then it starts tapering off to start thinking, to change their mindset to start thinking about others. And then the end of the program ends in leadership.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
So the whole program, I want leaders. I want people that have come from a victim to stepping up above the line, to then having the ability and the confidence to then turn around and lead others, whether it be lead with their family,
Yeah,
their friends, community, or on a bigger scale. But by the end of the course, I want my people as leaders.
yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, that and yeah, I do the same thing. I help because I have to say to people, especially if you're trying to lose weight, then you have to be the leader at home as well.
Yeah.
Because what'll
Leadership
happen
starts.
is because
Leadership
what'll
starts.
happen is once you start, because I get them to go through their cupboards and they have to find all the garbage that's in their cupboards, and they've got to clean it out. And of course, if you've got kids, they're like, "What are you doing? You've taken all the food I like to eat, not the garbage." Not the garbage, the food I like to eat. And of course, then you've got to be the leader and say, well, I want you to eat healthy like I am for the rest of
I
your
actually
life.
started Cindy O'Meara's course with nutrition years ago. I deferred it back when when I was struggling, but I'd like to go back and finish it. But I was, learning with Cindy, how to read your labels.
Yeah. That's very important.
It was about the ability to clean people's kitchens out. So
That's the fridge and cupboard. They're the two worst enemies because, well, it's, what you buy is what you're going to eat. So, yes, it may sit in the cupboard for months on end, but the problem is eventually you're going to eat it. Eventually. So, this is, like you said, if you don't know how to read a label, and when you start to read a label, then you realize,
it's frightening.
Majority of what you buy in the supermarkets is
anything. I think anything in the supermarket you buy these days is you don't want to have it. Shouldn't belong in your house. Go to the greengrocer, buy organic food, buy whole foods. Really, there shouldn't be much that you buy out of a supermarket these days. It's all poison.
Yeah.
It's all poison in my books anyway.
Yeah. That's it. No, you're 100% right. I did a video yesterday on oats, and I thought it wasn't as high as it was, but I don't eat oats, but when I went and did just checked them out on the shelves, it's like 55% carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Oats. So, and I didn't even go into, well, actually, there's a reason why it's white as well, because oats are actually a brown color when they're picked raw, when they're picked straight out of the ground, and what they do is they bleach it. That's why it's a white color.
Mm. Yeah, I was a farmer. We used to grow it.
Oats, yeah. So you would know it's a different color when it gets to.
It's not white. Yeah. Oh, it's
white.
sort of a bit white inside, but it's.
Yeah.
It is bleached. It is.
Yeah,
bleached.
because they're trying to kill the bugs. But the problem with that is we go back to that stomach issue.
Yeah. Well, the what they're doing to our food now is killing the microbiome in our gut.
Yeah, slowly.
Yeah.
Slowly, yeah. Yeah, I understand. I totally get it. This is why I'm trying to help, such as yourself, trying to help people to change their lives completely. And that comes back to mindset and how they're eating and moving as well. So that's good that you do.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. That's why I bring the fitness. I want to see them grow and see a change of what's possible.
Yeah, gotcha.
So,
all right, mate, you've done well.
Even up. I want to get to the next level with my with my dreams. So I'm upping the level of my own personal, of getting a coach on the Zoom that I pay him to coach me three times a week. Yeah.
So we all got to have coaches. We all.
We need.
Same with business. Business is no different to any athletic sports.
Yeah.
We are conditioned to believe that we need a coach for sport, but not for business. So
everyone needs a coach.
Sorry to say, if you're in business, you need a coach.
Yeah. Oh, even if you don't, even if you're not, if you want to grow, if you want to grow, you need a coach.
And there's these guys are billionaires. They've all got like 3-4 of them.
Yeah.
They haven't got one. They got multiple.
Well, I've got 3 at the moment.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I've got 3. Yeah, I've got 3.
Yeah. So, and like a lot of people don't realize this is one stat. To grow, you need to be in an uncomfortable zone every day, 85% of the time.
Yeah, that's right.
So that might be one to end on. Yeah.
All right. So I'll go to the third question. So tell us.
Oh, third question. Okay, we're only up to the third question.
I'll go to the third question. So what's your ideal client or avatar for you?
Oh, ideal client is someone that suffers from brain fog. It wants clarity of mind, move on, be more productive with work. Being able to focus more. They might be a bit disorganized, or and even from all those issues, they might be socially withdrawn.
Yep.
Because they're a bit ashamed of not being able to cope in the social outing. So
catatonic, basically. So that's where they're just totally withdrawn.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, and so then I'll go into the last question. So this is a tough one. So what ideas or information would you give to provide or create lifelong longevity?
Look, I'd have to first and foremost, I'd have to engage. I'd have to engage with people, be socially active.
Yeah.
Because I saw a bar years and years ago. It was a box graph, and it was the things that had the most impact for longevity. And like most of the, some, they all tracked along, but then for this particular one is being socially active, it just stands out so much. For longevity, you've got to be out there and you've got to be socially active.
Yeah,
so it
right.
just and I think it's a bit sad the way society's gone, with the way the world's gone, and is tearing people apart with world issues. I sort of won't go into it too much, but what's really upsetting to me is people not being able to have a conversation these days because they have a different political opinion.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's just not on. You know, if you want to grow, if you want to be able to communicate with people, embrace people for who they are, embrace people for the beliefs they have. I've got great friends that are totally opposite to me, and some can talk about it, and others say, oh, you know, you mention a word, oh, you can't talk about him. They are unable to look at the polarities of different aspects in life anymore. And people are just saying, no, too much, and stopping the conversation. That's not a way to live. It's just not on. In my books, you know, you the mindset's very closed, one way. I don't know the answer to educate people on that, Scott. Other than, you know, grow up.
Well, yeah. I get it. I understand it. You've got to be open-minded, and
You've got to be open-minded.
You've got to have that understanding that people have different views.
Yeah, like years ago.
It's okay.
Years ago, you used to be able to. People used to sit around a dinner table and have great conversations and great differences of opinion. And I said, you know, and problems start from the top. And may I say that
yes,
when I talk about the top, I'm looking at our governments. Our governments can't even have a good debate these days. They shut it down. They want control.
Yeah.
Like in my books, a good government used to be a good government used to be able to have a good debate. Governments they shut the debates down. They don't want to even debate. It's all about control. But
if they do talk about it, then it's all one-sided.
It's all one-sided. Yeah, it's all about control.
They talk about it, but they all vote the same.
Yeah, yeah, they're all tied with the one brush. They've all got one aim, and that's control. But like for another reason, leaving a legacy, having a purpose. Yeah. You've got to have a purpose in life to give yourself something to work towards, something to fulfill your life. Having a purpose, and it's great for your brain health as well. That's one thing about my program. I cover everything, but it's all related back to brain, and that's my point of difference. Everything we cover goes back to how it affects the brain. What else? Yeah, self-acceptance and self-love. It's got to be up there.
Yes.
It's got to be up there.
How can you love others if you don't love yourself? That's it.
Yeah, you've got to be able to love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you won't care for yourself. And if you, and in my speech, like if you don't care for yourself, how the heck are you going to own your own power?
Yep. Yeah, very true. Yeah. All right. Thanks very much, Jeanette, for the gold nuggets today. Much appreciated in your time. And it sounds like an awesome programs that you've got happening. So if you want to know any more, I'll get Jeanette to put her details in our 3 platforms. I'll get my VA to give to Jeanette so she can put those details on those platforms. So if you have any questions, you can ask her, and you want to know more about those her programs. And thanks so much again today, Jeanette. Gave us some gold nuggets, and appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks, Scott. Thanks, Scott. I'm sort of conscious I'm looking sideways because you're on the left-hand side of my screen, so I'm sort of looking at you. So
you can't tell. You can't
tell?
No.
Yeah. I've got to get used to this speaking and stuff like that. But
all right. Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks a lot, Scott. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to the Get Busy Livin podcast. And thank you again, Jeanette, for coming on to the podcast today.
Thank you.
So you've been watching Dr. Scott from 6 Sense Acupuncture and the Healthy Habits Club. And have a great day, guys. Take care.